A dress for poor people? Some wounds don't bleed. They sit quietly in a mother's heart, waiting for the moment they finally break her. That was the day I realized the daughter I raised with my own hands, the girl I protected from the world, had grown into someone ashamed of me. I had stayed up the entire night, not because I was forced to, but because my heart wanted to do something unforgettable for Emma's wedding. Every stitch of her wedding dress carried a prayer. Every fold held a memory of her first steps, her first school day, her first broken tooth. Mothers don't just sew fabric, they sew love. By morning, my tired hands were shaking, but my heart was smiling. I gently folded the dress and walked to Emma's room. She stood in front of the mirror, curling her hair, looking like the princess I always believed she was. "Sweetheart," I said softly, trying to hide my excitement, "I finished your wedding dress. I hope you'll love it." She turned slowly. Her expression didn't change. No curiosity, no warmth, just impatience. I opened the dress carefully. The morning light touched the fabric, making it look almost like moonlight wrapped in silk. I made every stitch with love, just like I used to make your baby dresses. Emma blinked once. Then her lips curved, not in a smile, but in disbelief. "Mom, seriously?" She reached out and grabbed the dress like it was something cheap from a charity shop. She examined it like she was searching for a reason to hate it. "Is this handmade?" she asked sharply. I smiled proudly. "Yes, darling, I wanted it to be special, something only a mother can make." Her reaction still echoes in my ears. Emma scoffed, loud enough to cut straight through me. "A dress for poor people?" Her voice grew colder. "You expect me to wear this at my wedding?" Before I could speak, she balled it up and threw it straight into the trash bin beside her vanity table. Just like that. My entire night, my effort, my emotions thrown away. I froze. My breath caught in my throat, not because she rejected a dress, but because she rejected me. She rolled her eyes. "Mom, please, I don't want people thinking I grew up like you." Like me? The woman who worked 2 jobs to keep her fed? The mother who skipped meals so she could have new shoes? The woman who never once complained about exhaustion? I stood there, silently. Holding back tears is something mothers learn early. I'm sorry, you feel that way," I whispered. She didn't even look at me. "Just don't embarrass me at the wedding, okay?" That sentence broke something in me, but I nodded, because mothers nod even when their hearts are shattering. She walked out of the room, leaving me alone with the sound of the trash bin lids settling. But what she didn't know was this. Life has a strange way of turning disrespect into lessons. And on the day of her celebration, she would walk into the hall and almost faint when she saw what I had become.
The trash bin and the truth. Sometimes silence isn't weakness. It's mother preparing for the moment the world will finally see her worth. I stood there, staring at the trash bin, the dress lying inside like a broken piece of my heart. A mother can handle disrespect. A mother can handle heartbreak. But what hurts the most is when your child forgets who stood by them through every storm. My hands trembled as I lifted the dress from the bin. The delicate lace I spent hours crafting was now crumpled, wrinkled, stained with Emma's contempt. For a second, I thought about crying, but I didn't. Instead, I folded the dress gently, pressed it to my chest, and whispered, "One day, Emma, you will understand." The wedding preparations. Over the next few days, the house filled with guests, laughter, champagne bottles, and expensive decorations that Emma's fiancé's family insisted on. Everyone was busy, everyone was excited, except me. Whenever I walked into a room, people talked over me, ignored me. Some even gave me pitiful looks, as if I didn't belong to my own daughter's celebration. "Mom," Emma had warned earlier, "don't talk too much around Adam's family. They're classy." Classy. And I wasn't? I swallowed that insult like a bitter pill and stayed quiet. The future mother-in-law. On the second evening, Adam's mother, Caroline, approached me. She was elegant, polished, wearing pearls worth more than my monthly salary. "I heard you tried making Emma's wedding dress," she said, smiling politely. The word "tried" sliced through me. "Yes," I said softly, "I wanted it to be meaningful." Caroline's polite smile turned sharper. "Well, dear, handmade things are charming for small events, but for weddings, it's better to leave things to professionals." I nodded, though her words stung. She continued, "Don't worry. Tomorrow the designer will bring Emma's real dress, a very expensive one." Real dress, as if mine was imaginary, as if mother's love isn't real. The night before the wedding. At midnight, the house fell quiet. Everyone was asleep, except me. I took out the crumpled dress again. I smoothed the fabric with my palms, my tears finally spilling onto the lace. "I'm not hurt because you rejected the dress," I whispered. "I'm hurt because you rejected me." But something strange happened then. Instead of feeling broken, I felt a spark ignite inside me, a calm determination. For years, I had dimmed myself, worked silently, lived quietly. Not anymore. Tomorrow, I would walk into that celebration not as a background figure, but as a woman whose worth didn't depend on anyone's approval. The secret preparation. Before dawn, I made a decision. I called someone I hadn't spoken to in years, someone who knew my past better than anyone else. When he answered the phone, he said, "I knew you'd call one day. Are you ready to step back into the world you left behind?" I took a deep breath. "Yes," I said, "for my daughter to finally see who her mother really is." The next day, when I entered the wedding hall, Emma's reaction would shake the entire room. But that moment was still ahead. The woman I used to be. Before I was a mother, I was a woman with a name, a talent, and a story the world once admired. My daughter never knew that version of me, but she was about to. The man I called before dawn was Daniel Warren, not a friend, not a relative, but a name once whispered across high-fashion studios in New York and London. He was a designer, and once upon a time, so was I. Before motherhood swallowed my dreams, before bills and survival took over, before I traded runways for factory shifts, I was known as Mara Hayes, the silk sculptor. But Emma never knew this. She grew up thinking her mother was just a tired woman working 2 jobs, counting pennies, stitching tears instead of gowns. She didn't know her mother once dressed celebrities. She didn't know the reason I left the industry was to raise her alone after her father disappeared. She didn't know the sacrifices. The nights I stayed awake, not sewing dresses for fame, but sewing her school uniforms because we couldn't afford new ones. She didn't know, because I never told her. Maybe that was my mistake. The call. When Daniel answered, he sounded exactly the same. Dramatic, loud, full of life. "Mara, darling, it took you long enough. What's the emergency? A comeback?" I exhaled. "Something like that. I need a favor, and I need it fast." He paused. "That tone? You're serious." "I am." He didn't ask questions. We picked a time, and I rushed to meet him before the sun rose. The studio. Daniel's private studio was like stepping into my past. Soft lights, rich fabrics, mannequins dressed like royalty. He stared at the crumpled wedding dress I brought with me. "Did you make this overnight?" he asked, touching the seams. "Yes." He sighed. "Mara, you haven't lost your touch. In fact, you've gotten better." I looked away, embarrassed. "She threw it in the trash, Daniel." His face tightened. "Your daughter?" I nodded. He grabbed my shoulders. "Then tomorrow, she needs to see who her mother really is, not who she thinks you are." He opened a large wardrobe and pulled out a gown. Not just any gown, a masterpiece. A shimmering gold evening dress, hand-embroidered with hundreds of tiny glass beads that caught the light like water ripples under the sun. I froze. "Daniel, this is one of your signature pieces." He grinned. "Correction, it was. Now it's yours." I shook my head. "I can't." "Oh, you can. You will. You'll walk into that wedding hall like a storm wrapped in gold. And when Emma saw me, she wouldn't just be shocked. She would question everything she ever believed about her mother." The preparation. For the next few hours, he worked on the gown, adjusting it to fit me perfectly. He styled my hair, did my makeup, placed a diamond-like comb in my bun, and when I finally looked in the mirror, I didn't recognize myself, not because I looked different, but because I looked like the woman I used to be. Confident, elegant, unapologetic. "Mara Hayes," Daniel whispered, "welcome back." Tomorrow, I would walk into that wedding hall like a storm wrapped in gold, and when Emma saw me, she wouldn't just be shocked. She would question everything she ever believed about her mother.
The wedding hall falls silent. Some entrances aren't made to impress. They're made to remind the world who you really are. The morning of the wedding arrived like a storm I'd been preparing for my whole life. Everyone believed I'd show up quietly, wearing something simple, blending into the background like always. But not today. Today, I was done disappearing. The drive to the wedding. As the car pulled up outside the venue, a grand hall wrapped in ivory roses and gold ribbons, my heart beat so loudly it echoed in my ears. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't scared. I was simply ready. Daniel's words played in my mind. "Walk in like the woman your daughter never bothered to know." I stepped out of the car. The sunlight hit the golden gown Daniel had given me, and it shimmered like it was alive. Gasps rippled across the entrance. Guests stopped. Whispers started. "Who is she? Is she a celebrity? She looks stunning. Is she related to the groom?" No one recognized me, not even my own family. And for the first time in years, it felt good. The moment I entered, as I walked into the hall, everything slowed down. Crystal chandeliers glowing above, soft violins playing, guests raising champagne glasses, and then silence. Complete silence. Dozens of eyes followed me. Admiration, awe, shock. Even Adam's wealthy relatives straightened up, whispering among themselves. But the moment everyone waited for was still ahead. Emma's reaction. The bride sees me. Emma was standing near the stage, surrounded by her bridesmaids, laughing loudly, until her eyes accidentally landed on me. Her smile collapsed. She stared, blinking twice, then again. Her jaw slowly fell open. Mom, her voice cracked. For the first time, she saw me, not as the mother she mocked, not as a woman she dismissed,
but as someone she did not recognize. I kept walking, calm and steady. She stepped forward, her breath uneven. "Mum, what are you wearing?" I smiled politely. "A dress, a real one, apparently." Her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. "Why are you dressed like this?" "Why?" I said softly. "Because I realized I don't have to hide anymore." The room fell so quiet you could hear the rustling of the roses. Her bridesmaids watched us. The groom's family watched us. Even the photographer froze, afraid not to miss the moment. The humiliation begins. Emma leaned closer and whispered sharply, "You're drawing attention. People are staring." I raised an eyebrow. "So? You didn't want them thinking you grew up like me, remember?" Her face turned pale. "Mom, please," she begged quietly. "You're ruining everything." Those words, those exact words, used to break me. But today, they rolled off my skin like water. "I'm not ruining anything, Emma," I said. "I'm simply being who I truly am." Before she could argue, Adam's mother approached, smiling wide. "Oh my goodness," Caroline gasped. "You look absolutely breathtaking. You must be a designer or something." The entire hall heard her. Emma's eyes widened in horror. I replied calmly, "Used to be, long before life needed me to be a mother first." Caroline looked impressed. Emma looked like her world was collapsing. This was only the beginning. Because in the next few minutes, Emma would learn a truth she never knew.
The truth she never knew. Children forget the sacrifices until the moment life forces them to remember. The wedding hall buzzed with a tension no one could name. Emma stood frozen, her perfect makeup trembling at the edges, watching me shine in a way she had never seen before. But the truth was, she had never looked at me before. Not really. The groom's family gathers. As soon as Caroline praised me, the rest of the groom's relatives rushed over with excitement. "Where did you get this gown? It's exquisite. Is this custom made? Who designed it?" I felt Emma's panic rising behind me like heat. I answered gently. "An old colleague helped me, but I designed part of it myself." A gasp escaped from one of the bridesmaids. "You're a designer? Emma never mentioned that." Never mentioned? Of course she hadn't. Emma jumped in, her voice shaky. "Mum hasn't worked in fashion in forever." I looked at her, because I quit when I became a mother. Her eyes flinched, but the room was listening now. Every ear, every camera, every whisper pointed at us. The truth spills out. I took a breath and spoke clearly, not loudly, but with the kind of confidence silence listens to. Before Emma was born, I worked in New York. I designed dresses for magazines, for runway shows, even for small celebrities. Fashion was my world. The room murmured with surprise. But when her father left, I became both parents, and design didn't feed a child. So I traded my dream for stability. Emma stared at me as if hearing my voice for the first time. I worked nights. I stitched clothes for others, not runways. I gave up my own career so she could have hers. My voice didn't break. Her eyes did. The breakdown. Emma stepped closer, her lips trembling. Why didn't you tell me, Mum?" I looked at her softly. "You never asked." She choked. "I thought you were just ordinary." "I am," I said gently, "but ordinary doesn't mean worthless."
Her knees weakened slightly, and she grabbed my arm. "Mom, I threw away something you made with love. I'm so sorry." For the first time in years, Emma cried like the little girl who once ran to me after scraping her knee. "Mom, I didn't know. I didn't know anything." I held her hands. "You didn't know because you didn't want to know. Loving you meant staying quiet, but respecting me, that has to come from your heart." She nodded through tears. I was wrong, completely wrong. The guests watched silently. No judgment, only empathy. Even the groom, Adam, approached gently. "Mrs. Hayes, I'm honored to have you here. Truly, you raised an amazing woman." Emma buried her face in her hands, crying harder at the kindness she didn't feel she deserved. The dress returns. I reached into my bag and pulled out the handmade wedding dress she had thrown away. Emma gasped, "Mom, you saved it?" I smiled softly. A mother always saves the pieces her child breaks, not to punish them, but to wait for the day they understand. She touched the dress with trembling fingers, tears dripping on the fabric she once rejected. "Mom, can I wear it? Please? For you?" The entire hall gasped. Even I froze. Emma wanted to wear my dress, the one she had called for poor people. But before I could answer, someone in the hall whispered loudly, "She would look beautiful in it." And suddenly, everyone agreed. The moment felt like magic, but the final decision was still mine.
The wedding dress of forgiveness. Forgiveness isn't a gift we give others. It's the moment we allow our own hearts to breathe again. Emma stood trembling in front of me, holding the handmade wedding dress she once threw away like garbage. Now, she held it like it was sacred. The hall had fallen silent. No music, no chatter, just the sound of a daughter realizing what her mother's love truly meant. The decision. Emma wiped her tears, waiting for my answer. "Mom, please," she whispered. "I want to wear the dress you made, the dress you stayed awake for, the dress you stitched with love. I didn't deserve it then, but maybe I can honor it now." Every pair of eyes in the room turned to me. For years, I had swallowed my pain, silently, quietly, patiently. But today, my voice mattered. I touched her cheek gently. "You may wear it," I said softly. "You may wear it only if you truly want to carry your mother's love with you." "I do," she whispered immediately. "I want it more than the designer dress, more than anything." Her sincerity broke something open inside me. Not pain this time, but relief. "Then, let's get you ready," I said with a small smile. Her whole body collapsed into me as she hugged me, with all the strength she had. "Thank you, Mom. Thank you for never giving up on me." For the first time in years, I hugged my daughter back without fear of breaking apart. The transformation. We went into the bridal room. I smoothed the wrinkles of the handmade dress, adjusted the lace, repaired a few tears with my emergency sewing kit. When Emma finally put it on, the room gasped. Even without jewels, without diamonds, without designer labels, she glowed. Because a dress stitched with love shines in a way money never can. Emma turned to the mirror, eyes filling again. "I look beautiful," she whispered. "You always did," I replied. "You just needed to see yourself through my eyes." The walk down the aisle. When Emma stepped out of the bridal room wearing my handmade dress, the entire wedding hall rose to their feet. Literally. Guests clapped, some cried, even Adam froze, speechless. "You look
"Unbelievable," he whispered as she reached him. Emma smiled through tears. "My mom made it." The pride in her voice shook me to my core. For years, I had been invisible. Today, she spoke my name like it mattered. The vows. During the ceremony, the priest asked, "Who presents this bride?" Emma turned, took my hand, and said loudly, "My mother, my strength, my inspiration, the woman who sacrificed everything for me." My breath caught. That moment, that single sentence was worth every sleepless night, every insult, every sacrifice. The aftermath. After the ceremony, people surrounded me. "Your work is stunning. You should start designing again. You're incredibly talented." Daniel came up behind me, smirking. "Told you they'd remember your name." I laughed softly. Maybe it's time I stop hiding. Emma hugged me from the side. "Mom, I want to know all your stories, the ones you never told me." I kissed her forehead. "We have a whole lifetime for that." If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more emotional stories, and share it with someone who needs a reminder that a mother's love is the strongest fabric in the world.